February 9th, 2022 meeting of the Philadelphia City Commissioners to order. First, I will preserve the order and decorum of these meetings. Everyone in attendance should be on notice that shouting out or interrupting the proceedings will not be tolerated. Those who violate this will be asked to leave. The Sunshine Act permits anyone attending a public meeting to object to a perceived violation at any time during the meeting. If you choose to do so, please succinctly state your objection. Objecting is not an opportunity for speech making. Before we get started, we must swear in our newest commissioner, Seth Bluestein, who will be filling out the term of Commissioner Al Schmidt. Commissioner Bluestein, please rise, raise your right hand, and repeat after me. I, Seth Bluestein, do solemnly swear
I, Seth Bluestein, do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania
and the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter,
and the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
Thank you, Commissioner, and congratulations.
Thank you.
We will now move to public comment. Commenters shall state where they live, or if they're not a resident of Philadelphia, that they are a Philadelphia taxpayer. Public comment is not an opportunity for dialogue or Q&A. It's public comment, a chance for you to tell us what you think. Each speaker shall have 2 minutes. However, I may extend this time at my discretion. All public comments must be relevant or germane to board business. Finally, it is my responsibility to preserve the order and decorum of the meetings. As such, profane, slanderous, discriminatory, or personal attacks will not be tolerated. Is there anyone here for public comment? We will now move to Vice Chair and Secretary Severe for emailed public comments.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As of 9:45 a.m., there were no public comments.
Moving no public comment, we will now proceed to old business, and I call on Joe Lynch for a report from the Executive Director.
Morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, Joe.
Congratulations again, Commissioner. County Board report, committee people nomination petitions will be available starting at noon today on our website at philadelphiavotes.com. Petitions must be printed double-sided or they cannot be accepted. Candidates who are unable to print their petition from the website can retrieve them from our City Hall office, room 142. There has not been any change to the committee person nomination petition schedule. Nomination petitions can be circulated starting on February 15th at the earliest and must be filed by March 8th at 5 p.m. The voter registration union for the election cycle to date, they have processed 51,666 applications, of which 2,950 were paper. They have sent out 31,347 ID cards, along with 46,697 five-year notices. Imaging and data units are processing applications, return ID cards, and return letters. Correspondence unit is pulling deceased from the dupe room. The polling place unit, as of now, the unit is going out periodically, checking various addresses to validate residences. Several hearings are being prepared for scheduling later as they get closer to election day. All polling places will be contacted later on in February for verification for the primary election.
Thank you, Joe. We'll now move on to new business. I have 2 motions. First, I motion that the position of Secretary of the Board of the City Commissioners be transferred from Commissioner Omar Sabir to Commissioner Seth Bluestein. Do I have a second?
Second.
I vote aye. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Over the winter break, we saw a shocking ruling coming out of the Commonwealth Court in the Malenko case. which ruled that the mail-in voting portions of Act 77 unconstitutional. The McClinko decision was immediately appealed to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. I want it known that I, and indeed we as a board, support the state's appeal and believe that the Supreme Court should uphold mail-in voting as set forth in Act 77. Because of the appeal, the Commonwealth's court order has been stayed. Mail-in voting is still legal, and there is no immediate effect on the election or voting. Therefore, the Commissioner's Office is proceeding as normal, mailing out permanent absentee and mail-in applications, processing mail-in applications, and mailing mail-in ballots when they are finalized. Voters on the annual mail voter list will begin to receive their yearly application in the mail in the next week. This is not junk mail. It is important election information. They should fill it out and return it, postage prepaid to us as soon as possible. I cannot overstate how devastating the McClinko decision would be to Philadelphia voters if it were upheld. But it is not enough just to state that mail-in voting has been embraced by a large number of Philadelphia voters. So I asked the staff to dig deep into the numbers. On average, more than 1/3 of Philadelphia voters have cast their vote using mail-in ballots during the past 4 elections. During the 2020 cycle, roughly 40% of Philadelphia voters used mail-in ballots. More than 140,000 Philadelphia voters have voted using mail-in ballots in more than one election. More than 50,000 Philadelphia voters have voted by mail ballot exclusively since Act 77 went into effect. Nearly 60,000 Philadelphia voters cast their first vote using mail-in ballots. Despite the pandemic, turnout has increased in the past 3 elections: the 2020 general, the 2021 primary, and the 2021 general, compared with the equivalent election 4 years prior. Without mail-in ballots cast in the past 3 elections, the total turnout would have been lower. In addition, the city has invested millions of dollars towards implementing mail-in voting and doing it right. Some of that was offset by the CTL grant, such as $37,941 for drop boxes, $750,000 in communications, and $5.2 million in equipment. We also are spending several million in non-grant funds to outfit the warehouse for the equipment and to secure the ballot processing center against possible threats. The first phase of these investments you saw in last year's elections, and you will see the result of our next phase during the 2022 primary. Additionally, we have created a new unit dedicated solely to mail ballots, where we are investing over $200,000 in salary this fiscal year alone. We have successfully implemented mail-in voting and are looking to improve. If we were to go backwards, it would be just as hard and costly. Though mail-in voting is still a frequent target of lies from those who wish the 2020 election had turned out differently, we have not seen the fraud or misuse that is alleged. Instead, we see too many barriers to voting, requirements that some claim prevent fraud, such as the secrecy envelope and the dates on the envelope are excluding legitimate votes every election. I say this all the time, but we need to make it easier to vote, not harder. In conclusion, I and this board will continue to fight using all legal means, either in the courts of law or in the court of public opinion, to ensure that all Philadelphians can vote in the easiest, most convenient way possible. In the McClinto case, the decision from the Commonwealth Court was wrong. Philadelphians have embraced mail-in voting in large numbers, and we will make sure that we are part of the process of getting this corrected. Therefore, I motion that we ask the law department to prepare an amicus brief for the board in the case of McClinko versus Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner, I vote aye. Commissioner Bluestein?
Aye.
Commissioner Severe?
Aye.
Motion carries. Commissioner Bluestein, do you have any items to add to the agenda?
I do not.
Commissioner Severe, do you have any items added to the agenda?
Madam Chair, if I may, I wanted to take a moment to recognize Black History Month and the leaders that have set the path before us. We stand on the shoulders of great people like Octavius Cotto, Martin Luther King, John Lewis, Rosa Parks, Ida B. Wells, and countless others. I'm proud of the work you are doing to ease access to voting for every Philadelphian, and will continue to fight for the rights of all Americans. Also, as I see Commissioner Smith, it looks a little bit funny seeing you on the other side, my friend, but thank you for your service, and we definitely look forward to working with you in due capacity with the committee assembly.
Thank you, Commissioner Severe. With no items remaining on the agenda, this meeting is adjourned to the call of the chair. Thank you all.